Wow, what a music. Hello, thank you for joining me. Happy Thursday. Thank you for waiting. Few weird calls that I just had. One of them was whether I will be covering Trump's press conference tomorrow at those golden escalators in New York City at Trump Tower, which I will pass on to you. Comment if you want me to cover that conference. Um, not really my typical thing, but if you guys are interested, because I'm doing this to inform you about the actual news. So if your guys are on board, you know, tell me what you want to know. Tell me if you want me to do that. So I'm going to ask throughout this hour and then you let me know. But all this big zhu tomorrow, 12 p.m. will be at the Trump Tower invitation, spent all day posting about him not in a flattering way. So I don't know what happened. And another story is also First Lady tomorrow is in New York City as well, trying to figure out what's happening with press there because it was not disclosed before. And another thing is on Saturday. Tim Walz, Governor Walz, is talking at the human rights reception at a gala in Washington, D.C. at night. He's also doing equivalent of red carpet, but it's called blue carpet there. So that's another story. And then Second Gentleman is also having a rally in Pennsylvania on Saturday. So let's see what we can do physically. But certainly that's some good news. A time to hit the road. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, in person. No, Rosie says no. Okay. I hope you have better news to cover. Yeah. Well, I pass it on to you. Do you want me? Say yes or no. If you want me to go, I go. I have a question in mind about Ukraine, but we'll see. I don't think. See, the problem here is you can ask questions as much as you want. You're not going to get valid answers. So if you ask a provocative question that will go viral, the answer will go viral, and the answer is not going to be legitimate. See, that is sort of my concern here, right? Certainly, I'm not a flattering type, so that's not that type of questions. But certainly, even bad press is press, and that's my concern. Now, let's start on the good note, and we're going to finish on the good note. And for me, I don't know how about you, but Tim Walz is growing on me every day. I'm looking forward to his rallies. I'm looking forward to his speeches. I love it. I mean, today's rally in the reddest of Pennsylvania, Erie, or right? Do I pronounce it correctly? Pennsylvania, the Megaville, but it was amazing. I think, in my opinion, it was the best rally. He's getting into it. And perhaps because I'm a former professional athlete, I really respond to coaches and I get all zhoozhed up, but I loved it. So I cut three videos for you. So first, what I really loved, how he talked about why don't we have joy? Why can't politics and campaigning actually involve joy? And that hit me. Like, why can't be joy? This stuff here, actual news, can be joyful. Yeah, we're going to have sad news. We're going to have troublesome news. But altogether, why can't we have joy? Why are we so negative and really, pooping on our country, which is pretty great? Okay, so listen to Tim Walz.
Came down a gold escalator. They've tried to tell you that this can't be joyful. This can't be fun. This can't be hopeful. This can't be positive about the future. Well, we reject that, and it took Kamala Harris to come onto the scene to tell us this is a joyful thing we're doing. This is hopeful.
What I love is that he constantly drives it home, right? He's constantly zhuzhing up the crowd and then bringing up Kamala Harris, and then bringing her up. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Now she will be responsible for doing it. I love it. I love it. All of it. I really do. Now, the second video is he's describing what Trump did, right? First, he said, look, he promised a lot, did a little. But then what he did promise to billionaires, right, and those Mar-a-Lago friends, he certainly did satisfy their desires. Listen to Tim Walz.
Do it, and he kept his word. He said, with a bunch of his rich friends, he goes, you're super rich, these folks down in Mar-a-Lago, and I'm going to cut your taxes. He did that. He did that. And the third thing he did, he wasn't quite so honest about because he told us he wasn't going to do it. He installed 3 Supreme Court justices who took away our right to control our own bodies. He did all that before he tried to violently overthrow our democratic government, too, by the way. In an election that he got his butt whipped fair and square and lost. It's that simple.
Which he, by the way, started admitting, which kind of like confuses the court cases, right? Even yesterday, I played it to you. Some MAGA guys, they're like, why are you admitting that you lost? How come? You know, why did people show up for January 6th? But we all knew it. We all knew it. We're just waiting for folks to wake up, and I hope it will be early. Now, he also spoke about the shooting, the unfortunate, horrendous shooting in Georgia at a high school. And he said, listen, him as a teacher, former teacher, he was looking forward to starting a new year. It was a period of hope, right? You're starting something new. You're meeting new kids and teachers, and especially the first weeks. That's where you sort of are the most excited about seeing each other. And then he spoke about his son, Gus, that he's going to high school. And so those kids, 14-year-olds, were sort of around the same age. And he's like, well, now for them, the beginning of the school year, September, will always have this traumatic experience. And they will, every year through the entire life, will just think of that and fear that day and the beginning of school year. So he, of course, advocated for common sense laws, as much as Biden as well. And Brandon, hi Brandon, you said you watched Biden's thing. I streamed both rallies or speeches today, and we're gonna watch President Biden's speech too, which was great as well. It was in Wisconsin. Now, Tim Walz spoke about common sense gun laws, right? The importance of really granting kids to have childhood and be responsible. Right. And we just heard that the father of this shooter, the 14-year-old shooter, got charged as well. And that is where it actually has to come down to. Somebody has to be responsible. There is no it's a 14-year-old getting parents' gun, right? Getting a hold of it. So it wasn't kept safe. It wasn't kept away. You don't know what your child is doing. You don't have any idea. You don't have any control. And I know it is difficult, but somebody has to be responsible, because if somebody gets charged, others will be more aware of this, right? So ultimately, Tim Walz talked about what is the game plan now. Take a look.
From all over making it work. So look, here's our job. The ball's in our hands. This is our time. Our job is to do the blocking and tackling of politics. Inch at a time, yard at a time, phone call at a time, door knock at a time, $5 donation at a time, one rally at a time, whatever it takes. So look, we're in the game. The momentum's behind us. It doesn't matter if it's a beautiful night in Erie. Doesn't matter if it's in Las Vegas with 109 degrees. It doesn't matter if it was in a field in western Wisconsin. People all across this country are coming out and saying, enough with the pessimism, enough with the shit talk in this country, and let's find a new way forward.
Enough with the shit talking. So Keith says, the clips barely scratched the surface of an impressive speech. It's worth watching it in full. So I streamed it. Scroll down on my YouTube or Twitter. You're going to get it there. Watch it in full. I truly, truly recommend it. It was really good. And by the way, they had bad internet connection, as I've heard, especially after the previous FBI contact locked them up. Yeah, all of it, all of it. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. So a quick readout, a statement from President Biden on offshore wind progress. And by the way, it does not include anything about bacon or people having cancer from the windmills. So I'm quoting President Biden. When I came into office, the United States had 0 approved offshore wind projects in federal waters, and the industry was struggling to gain a foothold. Can you imagine in 2020 we had 0 approved projects? But now, following my administration's investments in our clean energy future, the private sector has mobilized and the federal government has approved 10 offshore wind projects, enough to power more than 5 million homes and equivalent to half of the capacity needed to achieve our goal of 30 gigawatts of offshore wind by 2030. From manufacturing and shipbuilding to port operations and construction, this industry will support tens of thousands of good paying and union jobs, provide reliable clean power to homes and businesses, strengthen our power grid against outages, and help reduce pollution, all while protecting biodiversity and marine ecosystems. We will continue to partner with industry, tribes, ocean users, and other stakeholders to support supply chains that are made in America, incentivize union built projects, and continue seizing opportunities for additional clean energy technologies. So, can we just take a little, seat in the back for a second and analyze, right? What he mentions here, what I couldn't pronounce, that now, already now, they hit half of the capacity needed, what they plan to achieve by 2030. So he's coming in 2020, zero approved projects. 2024, 10 approved projects, right? And they hit already half of the capacity they want to hit in 2030. So none of it includes bacons or pigs or flying, I don't know, mosquitoes. Now, another readout from Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, on something that really has not been discussed today in mainstream media at all, which is unfortunate. National security, or let me read. The Biden Harris administration has secured the release of 135 political prisoners from Nicaragua, including 13 members of Mountain Gateway Organization and various other detainees. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan highlighted the commitment to human rights and freedoms. The U.S. thanks Guatemala for accepting these individuals who can now seek new opportunities through President Biden's Safe Mobility Office. The administration also urges Nicaragua to stop the arbitrary detention of citizens exercising their fundamental rights. And so, certainly, they were not agreeing with them exercising their religion. And so, 135 political prisoners were kept unjustly imprisoned, and so they got freed. And I think we need to talk more about that, so we realize what administration is actually doing. Honestly, that's why the whole idea of actual news started, and the newsletter. And I hope you read it. I started sending it earlier, so you have a bit more time to read, not just the mornings. But it's important to highlight what is happening within the administration. I understand we are in the election season. I do understand we have 61 days left, but it's not all about Harris and Trump, Harris and Trump, Harris and Trump. There's an entire administration at the White House and beyond doing their job. Blinken is today in Haiti. He announced help for Haiti and how it will be used and how it will be rebuilt. Are we talking about it? Not really. He just held a press conference. I'll have the clips for you tomorrow because it literally just happened. So we need to be talking about what matters, not just about what's going to cause clickbait. I don't know about you. I stopped clicking on the Trump said, she said, he said, comrade, whatever. I don't click on it. I don't want to consume more of those broken news. I don't know, but it doesn't drive my interest. So, let's be conscious. So, another readout, which is pretty great. So, Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen was today in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so she spoke, highlighting the significant benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA. For clean energy and economic growth, the IRA has enabled the approval of 10 offshore wind projects, what President Biden spoke about or wrote about, set to power over 5 million homes and create thousands of union jobs. In addition, the Act's tax credits have helped 3.4 million American families save on energy costs and invest in clean technologies, with North Carolina families claiming over $160 million in credits. Yellen emphasized the need to protect these credits from potential rollbacks to maintain affordability and support domestic investment. So in the email that I already sent out to you, now if you are not subscribed, let me use this opportunity to point it out. You can subscribe and read it. All whatever I reported on before is there. Onest.substack.com. Sign up. So there I listed all the details of what she's talked about. Like, for instance, that people are getting a $5,000 rebate if you get your electric car. Now, she wants to run it through the IRS system. She talked about rejuvenating IRS system and making it current and making it useful, not something that we fear every year, right, to deal with, but something that can be useful on a daily basis when we think about and consider certain purchase, and that the transactions can happen, beyond annual basis. So that was pretty good. Now, on the DOJ part, a very busy day. I just got like 35 emails from the DOJ. Probably some are same, but let's see. They made an announcement this morning, and maybe it kind of hits home for you. Doesn't for me. But the Department of State is offering a reward for up to $1 million under the transnational organized crime rewards program for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of Tim Stegall. Stegall is wanted for his involvement in transnational organized crime, including significant computer intrusions targeting U.S. businesses since 2011. He is accused of orchestrating the theft of payment card data and profiting from it. So if you have any idea about a certain man called Stegall, it's going to make your $1 million. Now, the DOJ also today has unsealed indictments against Dmitry and Anastasia Symes for violating U.S. sanctions imposed on Russia. So if you would have ever watched Russian television, those guys, or specifically him, are considered those, experts on America. He was also Trump's advisor, by the way. And so they're currently in Russia. What we heard a week or so ago, the FBI raided their house in the US. Now they're in Russia, they work in Russia, they work for Channel 1, right? The first channel, main channel, really Kremlin channel. There is nobody who gets even an invitation to be a guest on a program without Kremlin's approval, right? So very supervised. So these folks, Dmitry and Anastasia, both of Hunty, Virginia, and Russia, are charged with schemes benefiting sanctioned Russian broadcaster Channel 1 Russia and oligarch Alexander Yevgenyevich Udorov. The first indictment alleges they provided services to Channel 1 Russia, including presenting and producing programming, while receiving over $1 million, a car, and other benefits. So pretty much they live there. They are American citizens, but they live in Russia, work in Russia, and produce propaganda for Russia. So also what they did is the woman, Anastasia, she helped certain oligarchs to buy very expensive paintings and some other, very expensive art in the US, and then she was shipping it to Russia. So that got an indictment too. So altogether, they've been indicted on 2 counts together, and on 1 count, her alone, facing 20 years per count, convicted. So the FBI Washington field office is leading the investigation, and so they will be releasing more details. I saw the paintings, she bought a knife, she bought paintings, and then she was paid, of course, for all that. So also yesterday, of course, it was announced that the Tenet Media was hiring those 6 individuals that are promoting Russian propaganda. But it's actually more than that. So if you look at this picture, I know it's very tiny, but Tucker Carlson is on it. Certain people that have visited Moscow, I will post it so you can check it. So it's divided as to who went to Moscow, who met with Putin, who went to occupied areas in Ukraine, or who is just spreading propaganda and focusing on that. So there's Scott Ritter. So there's people that we certainly know and have heard about. My question is really also about, can we also, since we're talking about it, right, and DOJ is opening up about it, can we then investigate congressmen and women who might be, working for certain countries. And how are they paid? Maybe they're paid through Twitter and their monetization. People with gray check marks monetized on Twitter. I understand you have to have 500 followers and I think 2 million or 5 million views for the past 3 months to be monetized. But also it requires a paid subscription. Since the gray check mark is not really a paid subscription, to my understanding, are they paid? Are they monetized? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene on Putin's payroll? Is this woman from Mariupol, Ukraine, whose family literally suffered from Russian missiles, that is now spreading this Russian propaganda? Is she paid by Putin? Because certainly, if not FBI and CIA and DOJ, if they don't know, who else does? And I think they are, and they do. So why are we stopping at content creators? Can we take a step forward? And if we really want to clean the house, right, and cleanse the house, like, I think it's time. Yeah, it's been 12 years with all this crap. So this is, for instance, what happens. Like this guy, Tim Pool, that's been trolling today. Everybody's saying, I'm now pro-Ukraine, I'm pro-this. So it's been sarcastic or whatever, or tries to dilute their algorithm. But certainly he was saying that Ukraine is sponsored by CIA and it's our biggest enemy in the US and somehow wants to limit Russia. So spewing all this kind of crap that certainly an American person would never come up with, right? So he says, I was never paid, I'm a victim. Did you come up with all this nonsense yourself? Talking about Ukrainian history and this and that. Like, honey, where'd you get it from? Because certainly that was not available before the invasion and before Putin opened their Rupedia with alternative history facts. So if you take, for instance, somebody's account, like one of those folks, and you type civil war, it started here. Look, the first tweets, 2022, 2020. It continues up to 26 minutes ago when this screenshot was taken. So it's a plan. But here's the mastermind tweeting today, right? By the way, he tweeted over 80 times yesterday. And that was 82nd time. I have never been materially active in politics before, but this time I think civilization, as we know it, is on the line. And if we want to preserve freedom and a meritocracy in America, then Trump must win. Why aren't you on the Mars with Trump together? Make Mars great again. Just go to Mars and it will all be good. Just let's have this. Yeah. I would love to know who else is paid there, because it's time. It's time to reveal this. And speaking of, speaking of Tucker Carlson, right? He's on a tour. So he's spreading this propaganda everywhere, right? And he's getting these crowds. They pay to be there. So that money-wise, they keep sponsoring themselves, right? He's just interviewed somebody who's supposed to be a historian, who's younger than me. He's a historian, and he called Hitler actually a hero and Churchill the bad guy, and Hitler, what did he say? He started the concentration camps and anti-Jewish movement by accident. Hallelujah, Mazel Tov. Honey, did you hit your head? Hit it again. Hit it again. Maybe it will help. But anyway, talking about Tucker Carlson, look at the crowds that this propaganda machine is drawing. This is a cult. This is a cult. It's the same as in Germany. I understand Hitler happened and all of this, and Germans are paying retributions, 1% to Jews every time, they pay salad tax, because I've been there, lived there, done it. And still, neo-Nazis have been elected in 2 counties in Germany. The guy showed up on a Russian car, like some Russian Niva or whatever. So they were not extinct. This is not dinosaurs. They were frozen somewhere underneath some, where they have to be shutting up and not saying anything. But when they're feeling that the door is opening and we can finally voice our thoughts that we thought are not allowed to be voiced out in public. Now they're stepping out. This thing infiltrates. So let's not laugh about it and say, oh, look at those dodo birds or whatever. This is a cult. It has to be addressed. And I will again reiterate, it has to be addressed not just from the Democratic and liberal part, but MAGA has to be addressed from the Republican part, from that rhino part. They have to say it. That is a movement that is not benefiting the party, has nothing to do with the Republican Party's values. I understand Liz Cheney and her brother, not her brother, the war hero, tell me, McCain, his son, Liz Cheney and McCain's son, they endorsed Kamala Harris and said they're voting for her. Now, McCain's son is even switching to the Democratic Party. But can they, and I mean Republicans, can they finally say that this movement has nothing to do with our values and our party? Clean your house. Your house is messy. Somebody got in. You all want those gun laws, right? So you can knock anybody out who's stepping on your porch. Now, this guy is sitting on your porch, spreading this propaganda, is paid by Russia. Is that Republican value? Get him out of your house. So we can then live happily ever after and disagree on abortion policies and tax policies. But all of this mess, this is a cult. Get him out. Yeah, it will cost you this election, but then you can rebuild in 4 years. Otherwise, in 4 years, guess what? He will not go away. And even if he is away, this stuff will stay. The MAGA movement will stay because it becomes the machine supported by the billionaires who come from South African apartheid countries, and that's what they envision. Clean your house, Republicans. This is not funny anymore. Very, very messy. Tucker spent years elevating himself to mediocre news anchor to the mainstream mouthpiece of far-right MAGA. Yeah, and he has a show on Russian television. Like, how is that allowed, right? Because they say here, these people, right, this Anastasia or whatever, right, who got house got raided and all that. Tucker is working on the Russian television. How long do we have to wait for FBI and DOJ to point that out? He's violating those sanctions too. Is this too soon? Now, somebody who's Republican but is voicing his opinion is Adam Kinzinger. Take a look.
Are there other Republicans who are not speaking out who feel this way?
Oh, there's so many of them. And that's the thing is like, people will tell me sometimes like, Adam, you're courageous. And I appreciate it. I'm not courageous, though. I'm surrounded by cowards. So, it's just reality. I mean, how hard is it to tell the truth? But so I think you'll see more from Liz Cheney soon. I haven't talked to her about it. I have no idea, but I would expect that, she's just so committed to this stuff. But there are so many people I talk to that are sitting around like, I just can't speak out. I can't speak
They're scared.
out. Yeah, they're scared.
Yeah.
I had somebody tell me, actually a number of people tell me, Adam, and this is when I was still in, Adam, I appreciate what you're doing. I can't say that because I'd lose in my district, but I appreciate you doing it. It's like, dude, I'm going to lose in my district by doing it. Join the club, brother.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It might cost you your election now, but you will get rid of this cancerous movement in your party. Your party will no longer exist when Trump is done. Nobody will care what you think. And if you choose silence now, you will be silenced. If for you it's very difficult now to join the Democrats because it's beyond, it's the label. Oh my God, a lifelong Republican. I'm going to vote Republican. It doesn't matter, it's not Republican anymore. I'm just going to go. It's like you choose your favorite restaurant, but there's a shithole that just moved in it. Your restaurant is gone. It's a toilet now, public toilet. Are you going to go and eat there too? Still continue? Because that's the location you used to eat at? It's a shithole. Okay. On another note, again, DOJ. Federal indictment targets Russian hackers for cyber attacks against Ukraine and other NATO nations. 26 nations. Take a look how it was announced.
Today we are announcing a superseding indictment against 5 officers of the Russian military intelligence agency known as the GRU, as well as 1 civilian Russian cyber criminal for their campaign to conduct cyber intrusions. This superseding indictment adds to charges made public in June against the Russian civilian Amin Stagal. These defendants are responsible for carrying out the series of destructive computer attacks that are commonly referred to as the Whispergate campaign. This campaign targeted computers in Ukraine shortly before Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022. More generally, the indictment alleges conspiracies related to cyber intrusions targeting victims in the United States, in Ukraine, and elsewhere. The Whispergate campaign included the targeting of civilian infrastructure and Ukrainian computer systems wholly unrelated to the military or national defense. That included government agencies responsible for emergency services in Ukraine, the judiciary, food safety, and education. Seeking to sap the morale of the Ukrainian public, the defendants also stole and leaked the personal data of thousands of Ukrainian civilians, including by posting patient health information and other sensitive private data for sale online, and then taunting those victims. They attempted to cover their tracks by pretending to be criminals engaged in ransomware attacks, leaving behind ransom notes demanding Bitcoin payments to return data from victim systems.
So what happens now? 26 countries in the NATO, and the country he mentioned, I think it was, he meant to say Estonia, that was also involved in this heading, or was being hacked as well. So 26 NATO countries are now sharing information finally with each other. When it comes to Russia, when it comes to their propaganda, but also hacking, which is major news. This is what we needed to hear years ago. I mean, better later than never, but that's what would have saved Hillary Clinton in 2016. This woman won. Can we, that's the saddest part. 8 years ago, it took us 8 years. But, and Keith, to your point, Adam might be scared, literally scared for his life to name those folks that are shutting up about Trump, because they probably are, their careers are dependent on him and his supporters and lobbyists and money, right? But if they unite, as they say, united we stand, divided we fall. If they would have united, if they would have had a press conference and they would have voiced what they voiced, right? And yes, it will cost you this election, but then in 4 years, you have a chance of having a party that you're proud of. You can build again a restaurant at this address and stop eating at a shithole, a public restroom. Food for thought. Talking about that, Trump was today at the Economic Club of New York. And I want to first talk about the Economic Club of New York. The last event I covered there was Secretary Yellen, Secretary of Treasury. And I, read the room, and I see there's billionaires and not just US, very international, Wall Street, really, really high elite, New York elite. And they just celebrated 115 years since the beginning of the club. So for me, it was kind of like, I do understand that those people who are there will only profit, literally, if Trump is in. But can you hide it a little bit better? Can you hide it a little bit better? On their website, they said that they extended the invitation also to Kamala Harris, but she did not reply yet. They're waiting. But they met Trump with cheers. When he was spewing nonsense and just like, I will have readouts and everything, 3 videos and a readout, they were cheering. So you are okay tolerating somebody who is literally, physically, mentally, emotionally incapable of being a president, so you don't pay tax? You're okay with this person at the reins of us, nuclear power, when we're facing threats in Indo-Pacific, in Europe, everywhere. You're okay with him, so you don't pay tax? Shameful. And then to say it is Economic Club of New York. So, okay, if you invite him as that business person, so what convinced you the most? The 6 bankruptcies or the 34 felonies? What was the most convincing to extend the invitation? For him to come and talk to the business professionals. Why aren't those business professionals laughing and complaining? Because they pay dues, they pay fees. It's a luncheon. Last time it was at the Park Hotel in New York. Previously, by the way, run by Trump's ex-wife, Ivana, who did a good job rebuilding it. Then he stole everything from her in the divorce. Anyway, but today they were in Cipriani or Cipriani, whatever you call it. It's very fancy. How are you okay being next to a convicted felon? Is that okay for your business? All of that not to pay tax? How little are you? Tiny. So first clip, he announced that he's welcoming Musk to join his efforts to see how effective the government is. Take a look.
Fourth, at the suggestion of Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice, because he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It's very, very much appreciated. I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, that'd be a good one to do it. But he's agreed.
One word, treason. Next thing is praising Xi Jinping.
I had a great relationship with President Xi of China. Really very close relationship. Now look, he likes China, I like us, so, but I don't want to sound foolish. He was my dear, dear friend. He's a tough guy. He's a fierce person. I say very smart. When you say he's smart, the fake news goes crazy. He said President Xi is smart. And I say, yeah, well, he controls 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. He's smart.
Hate to repeat myself, but treason. And now he wants to be an emperor.
Why don't we have a wealth fund? Other countries have wealth funds. We have nothing. We have nothing. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, or we can name it something different. I'll talk about it with Mr. Paulson, who's in the audience, and a lot of other friends of mine. And we'll name it something that's appropriate. Perhaps sovereign wealth fund wouldn't be appropriate, but it's going to be the same thing. We'll put tremendous amounts of money through all this money that will be taken in through tariffs and other intelligent things, and we'll have the greatest sovereign wealth fund of them all, and we should have, and that will be used to do things that will be great for our country, including to invest.
Honey bunny, here's the difference. You're not an emperor. You're not an emperor. You're not in Saudi Arabia being the king or prince, right? That is not your fortune. You want to take taxpayers' money and put it in a wealth fund that you run? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be a dream? Shame on you. Shame on everybody who will vote for this. Shame on you. So, I have a readout for you. Now, you want to hear about policy? This is an actual readout. It's not edited. There is a video for it, but I want to read it to you. So you don't watch him because maybe you're mesmerized by his beautiful looks. Okay. What specific legislation will you commit to make childcare affordable? Quote, Trump. Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down, I was somebody, we had Marco Rubio and my daughter Ivanka, but I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because the childcare couldn't, there's something you have to have it in this country. You have to have it. I want to stay with childcare, so we'll take care of it. Thank you. If Joe Biden said that, they would have called the doctor right on spot. The doctor would have taken him and said, hey, Joe, time to go bye-bye. and they would have tied his hands and take this Amendment 25 that they, love so much, and put him to bed. If Kamala Harris said that, she would not be the candidate anymore, right on that day. Now he says that, everybody gets up and cheers, because less tax, fund, great. Let's steal the taxpayer money, do a fund. How cheap are we? How backwards? How stupid are we? Is it a stupid? Are we stupid? Are we that naive? Are we this dodo bird? Who is voting for this? Who wishes for it? Who wishes for it? Forget even about Project 2025. Who's wishing for this? This is the person who will represent you on the world stage, who will have nuclear codes, who will talk to everybody, every leader. This is the guy. After Joe Biden, that is the guy. This guy would be an embarrassment after George W. Bush. But after Joe Biden, now, can you imagine NATO leaders doing this? Sitting with him? And you have to listen to him because he's representing the biggest power, United States. God damn it. Jesus. That's what I say. How can many vote for him? I don't know. It's dodo birds. When the Fallon reads off teleprompters, he sounds so bored. When the moment he stops, he spews gibberish. Yeah. Fallon praises China's president, yet the MAGAs still say Democrats are in China's pocket. Yeah, they say what he tells them to say. Good news, because we need it. One neighbor has 9 Donald Trump signs, including his ear. Oh, but the neighborhood is rebelling. 4 houses now have Kamala. Oh, okay. All right. That is good news, Terry. That is good news. Oh, my God. Ear. Wow. That is new. But last thing on Trump, remember how he was banning TikTok? And now he's a star on TikTok. Well, he's nowhere a star. He's like, has millions. He has millions of followers, but it's nowhere near, all those TikTok stars. But suddenly he flip-flops on TikTok. Take a look.
For all of those that want to save TikTok in America, vote for Trump. The other side's closing it up. But I'm now a big star on TikTok. We even have TikTok Jack, and we're setting records. We're not doing anything with TikTok, but the other side's going to close it up. So if you like TikTok, go out and vote for Trump. If you don't care about TikTok and other things like safety, security, and prosperity, then you can vote for a Marxist who's going to destroy our country. Thank you.
Woo! Okay, let's cleanse the palate, okay? Wipe it clean. So, Harris Wall's campaign unveils a new ad highlighting Trump's Project 2025 impact on Black Americans. Take a look.
Trump's Project 2025 agenda will give him unchecked political power with no guardrails, and it would take Black America backwards. Project 2025 would strip away our voting rights protections, and it eliminates the Department of Education. It would also require states to monitor women's pregnancies. It bans abortion and would rip away health coverage for millions. Kamala Harris will stand up to Trump and his MAGA loyalists' dangerous plans to control our lives, because Trump is out for himself, while Kamala Harris is for the people.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Was it not loud enough, or am I getting there age-wise? It's very quiet. Anyway, great ad. This ad will be running. It's part of that $370 million campaign that they're using for web, also as much as TV stations as well. And whenever I'm on, tuning in to MSNBC, I see the ads. So certainly, hopefully, I'm not in battleground state, but hopefully that is shown there even more so. Also, some good news posted by the Teamsters. Now, I don't know the details. A bunch of you have commented and said, do you know the details? I don't. Teamsters posted that Kamala Harris is joining their rank and file presidential roundtable on September 16th. So we're going to hear more. I hope it will be followed by an endorsement, but certainly they were praising it, very, very happy about that additional news. So President Biden today was in Wisconsin. This is a continuation of his Investing in America series. where he's traveling. Tomorrow he's in Pennsylvania, I think, and he's talking to local elected officials, those people who did benefit from the Investing in America agenda. So the first clip I want to show you first. President Biden kicked off his remarks by addressing people in Georgia, offering his condolences and to everybody affected by the horrific shooting at the high school. He then addressed the need for common sense gun laws, emphasizing the importance of background checks, safety measures for gun owners, and a ban on assault rifles. So here is President Biden talking about being a gun owner and what he wishes to see in terms of policies and regulation. Take a look.
I'm a gun owner. I believe strongly in the amendment, but we need more than thoughts and prayers. Some of my Republican friends in Congress just finally have to say enough is enough. We have to do something. Together, let's ban assault weapons. My dad is a hunter. I don't know a whole hell of a lot of deer wearing Kevlar vests. I'm serious about this. High capacity magazines, once again, what do we need them for in terms of domestic use? There are too many people who are able to access guns that shouldn't be able to. So let's require safe storage of firearms. I know I have mine locked up, but how could you have an assault rifle, a weapon in a house, not locked up, and knowing your kid knows where it is?
And that's why that father was charged. And I already see the backlash online. Why is the father charged? The kid is 14. Yada, yada, yada. Who has to be responsible? Who? The school officials or maybe the parents? So next he talked about, he discussed the benefits of Investing in America agenda specifically for Wisconsin, highlighting improvements in transportation, infrastructure, fertilizer production, and internet access. He also critiqued the former administration, noting that while many promises were made, little was kept. Or as Obama would say, little was kept. Take a listen.
To lower fertilizer costs for farmers across the state, which also creates jobs and grows new businesses. Here in Wisconsin, we also invested $47 million to lower energy costs, install renewable and energy efficient technologies like solar panels behind me on farms and rural small businesses. Darren just shared how that's cut his family electricity bill in half. We're helping farmers and ranchers and entrepreneurs tackle the climate crisis. Climate smart agriculture, such as cover crops, nutrient management, storing carbon in the soil. These practices reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and improve overall health of the soil and the water. They put us on a path to continuing to grow the food, the fuel, the fiber that will power our nation for decades to come. Through our bipartisan infrastructure law, it's a fancy way of saying that $366 billion for environment, most significant investment in America's infrastructure. And what the infrastructure bill, by the way, the bipartisan bill, that was $1.2 trillion. And guess what? We're still lowering the deficit. Anyway, the most significant investment in America since Eisenhower's interstate highway system. We've invested $4 billion so far in 350 projects to modernize Wisconsin transportation. Just in Wisconsin, that's been invested. Infrastructure, only 3 roundabouts on Route 14, US 14, and a new bridge on County Highway M. Folks, look, just like we're making the most significant investment in rural electrification as FDR, we're also making the most significant investment ever in affordable, high-speed internet.
And by the way, to address your comments, I also didn't know that he is a gun owner. But he explained it in his speech. By the way, I streamed it, so I encourage you to watch the whole thing. It was about 23 minutes, I think. And so he explained it that he's from rural area in Delaware. And so he said, look, I understand you. Like, we need to have protection because in case something happens, nobody will save you in time. But we need to lock it up. We need to know how to, put it away from children or those who don't know how to deal with guns or will play with it or whatever, right? So he certainly did address that. So finally, he concluded by reminding Americans of their potential, and expressed that he has never been more enthusiastic about the country than now. Take a look.
Crisis to the strongest economy in the world. Let me say it again. We have the strongest economy in the world, and no one challenged it. We got more to do. We're seeing something else. In thousands of cities and towns across the country and across Wisconsin, we're seeing the great American comeback story. The way I see it, and I talk to the other team, talks about how bad off we are and how America's enjoy. The way I see it, today's announcement is about far more than just giving rural America the power to turn on the lights. It's about giving the power to shape our own future. In fact, Wisconsin has a strong history of neighbor helping neighbor and forming cooperatives, which are literally owned and powered by the people of Wisconsin. Because of you, we're planting seeds today that grow and blossom for generations to come.
Did you see that he actually says the same thing that Tim Walz says, but just, of course, Joe Biden delivery is different, right, from Coach Walz, but very much in line, very much in line. Speaking of Tim Walz, do you remember J.D. Vance ordering donuts or failing at ordering donuts, or better said, failing at being human? Here's Tim Walz at the donut shop.
Good morning. Perfect day.
How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Good, yeah.
Oh man, it's smelling good.
There are 3 states that lay claim to the whoopie pie: Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Maine.
So who has?
Pennsylvania.
All right,
obviously.
that's what I needed to know. That's what we needed to know.
So it's
is it sacrilegious to move away from chocolate, or is that acceptable?
We're a big fan of pumpkin.
We're
in this
pumpkin.
family.
Yeah, big
We're
fan of
pumpkin
pumpkin.
people.
All right.
All right, I think that's what we're gonna do.
I think-
Peaches too. That's what I said.
Yes.
The peaches.
I could balance it out to have a nutritional diet. I said, look at me, I have no problem picking out donuts.
So we take our apple cider donut, cut it in half, put the whoopie pie filling in.
Sold.
Right. Yeah.
So I got the best of both together. There's a lot of good things about campaigning. This is right there. This is it. So we're gonna ring this up.
Hello. Hi.
I like your optimism, thinking that they're gonna stay in the box for very long. So, I know. I'm seeing that cute one down there.
Would you like to pet her? You may.
Are you sure?
She's super soft.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, sweetie. Hi. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the kiss. I'm missing my guy. Thank you for the kiss. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, guys. This is wonderful. So, smells so good in there.
Joe is the best. Yes, I agree with your comments. Joe is the best. And damn you, media. Yes, 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 yes. Every time I said it, and will always say it, it hurts. It will always hurt. At least, I don't know about you. On my end, it will always hurt how it all happened. So disgusting. So disgusting. But, you know the good thing here? That if you weren't the one bashing Joe Biden, you didn't sell your dignity. Dignity is really the highest commodity that we have, because you can sell it once. You know how they say time is money? I understand that. But I always think that the most expensive thing is your dignity. Like, remember the mermaid, right? In the cartoon. The movie is very horrific. The book is very horrific. Read the whole story. But the cartoon, where she went to the woman, right? The purple Ursula, and she sold her voice to be able to walk. And she was not supposed to walk, and so the book goes that she passed because she had those legs and she kept bleeding and passed. Anyway, on the beach. But the point is, once you sell your voice, you sell your dignity, you will never get it back. So for me, it would be more difficult now to see those great deliveries from Joe Biden at 81 years old, having no problem talking at the rallies, campaigning, and knowing that I was the one bashing him to step down, calling him too old, calling him whatever he was called. That would hurt more than knowing that I was on the right side of history. So if you're one who was on the right side of history, wear that as a badge of honor. Because you can look in your eyes, when you look into the mirror, and you will not feel ashamed for yourself and how you were behaving, right? So that's sort of how I Thank you. That's how I calm myself down. Did you see the video of Waltz and Hope feeding the baby cubs? Oh no, let me find it for tomorrow. Tim is really good with people. Yes, because he is a people person. He actually is not faking it. That's the main difference, not just between Tim Walz and JD Vance. It's the difference between campaigns. One is faking it, with a real reason not to go to jail and to make money and let others make money. They're big buds. And another one actually cares. It's like a fake purse. That was cool, Brendan. Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the cuffs, I find it for tomorrow. And Joe still can ride a bicycle. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yep, I agree. Okay, so do you want me to cover Trump at 12 p.m. tomorrow press thing or no? Tell me yes or no. I got an invitation to cover his press conference tomorrow at the Trump Tower, where I usually go pee. But anyway, tell me yes or no. Please comment. Yes, you want me to go? No, you don't want me to go. If yes, then I will ask him questions. How does he plans to use his great relationship with dictator Putin to stop the genocide of Ukrainians? But if you don't want me to go, then I don't. No, please. You guys like me. Thank you. Oh, thank you for liking me back. Okay. It's not going to be a press conference. He just wants to use the news media to campaign. I get it. I know. No, please. No. LOL. No. Thank you. Okay. So I hear you. All right. So you're missing out. We're all missing out. Anyway. Yeah, no. I didn't feel like it either. I think it's going to be just this, also among the reporters will be this competition as to who is sitting in the front, who is asking the most favorable question, that type of stuff. I've seen it so many times. I really don't want to be a part of it. Yeah, thank you. And also, they, when they see my timeline, especially today, what do you expect me to do there? What do you expect me to ask there? Like I can ask about medical records. I can ask about the ear. How did it heal? Was it hit by the bullet, or did that PR part already over? And you can tell us the truth. But I just, I don't want to be kicked out. It's not worth it. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we are on the same page. Thank you, guys. I will update you on anything else tomorrow. I'm trying to cover the First Lady's event, but it wasn't shared with the media, so I kind of found out last minute. She's in New York. Also, President Biden and VP Harris will be visiting all the sites from on the 9/11. So on September 11th, they will be in New York at Ground Zero, which I certainly applied to cover. It's all scheduling thing. They need specific people there and everywhere. So let's see. But they certainly will be here, and I'll be there. So tomorrow is a Friday. Go get an ice cream cone instead. Indeed. But I will be live tomorrow, so see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. Have a peaceful night. If you haven't gotten your email, onestSubstack.com, please get it. Oh, something's fine. Thank you for joining, and let's keep our heads on the swivel. Kamala Harris, by the way, today arrived in Pennsylvania. She's in Pittsburgh. She will be hunkering down for her campaign for the remainder of the time until the debate, and she's preparing there. Second gentleman is traveling on Saturday. I said that Tim Walz is speaking at an event on Saturday at the gala in New York, in Washington, D.C. And what else? And Biden is traveling tomorrow, so there will be another speech that I will be broadcasting, and anything that has to do with Tim Walz too, because I'm a fan now. Really. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good night, and see you tomorrow.